Captain's log, stardate 47330.1. Sierra, I think you're feeding back a little. It's been 3 weeks since the events of Xerxes 4, and the crew has been settling into a routine on board. We're nearing the end of a week-long stellar survey of the Hiromi cluster, which took a bit longer due to the newly imposed warp speed limit of Warp 5. The bridge crew is about to meet for a short briefing on the nature of this limit. Alright, I'm glad you all could make it. I'm sure some of you have already heard the rumors, but it's official now. As you may or may not know, Federation scientists have demonstrated that warp engines can irrevocably damage the fabric of space-time. You've probably heard the theories surrounding this talk. I know you've looked into it a little bit, but as of today, Starfleet has issued a fleet-wide speed restriction of warp factor 5. Yeah, goes to show how you can really take a thing for granted, Our travel times will be significantly increased. I'm sorry, Counselor, go ahead. Spend years in cryo sleep prior to the warp drive. Go ahead. All right, well, I suppose that's it. I'll see you on the bridge. Captain's log supplemental. We discovered a derelict vessel, a forested geodesic dome, over 1,000 years old and foreign to this galaxy. Our instruments measure no intelligent life readings, and yet the vessel contains a breathable atmosphere. All hails and friendship messages have gone unanswered. Who built this craft and what became of its crew? We intend to find out. Number 1, any additional insight? Have our sensors been able to penetrate that layer of ionization? Counselor, are you detecting any sort of sentience from the sphere? Even animal life, if you can do so? Understood. We'll pull in closer when we feel a bit safer about it. I'm sorry, what was that, Kayla? We'll have Ensign prepare to pull us in closer once we get anything back from the sensors. I'm not yet prepared to move in yet.
More. You get the craft is actually, it's 10 kilometers in diameter, so this thing dwarfs your ship. There's no known weapon systems, no visible docking ports or hatches. The sensors can pick up that there's actually a structure that lies near the center of the forested dome, and an analysis of the hull indicates the vessel is over 1,000 years old. And its trajectory indicates it came from outside the Milky Way galaxy. And as the viewer brings it on screen, as you guys begin closing with it, the dome is transparent and covered in is a hexagon of vines. The forest of golden-leafed and silver-barked trees fills the geodesic dome. You see solar sails attached to the support frame beneath the dome, swept back like the wings of a bird almost. And the frame tapers into a massive root system you can actually see dangling in space. Increased magnifications, just visual scans, you can tell that some of the forest on the outside edges it looks like they're dying or are sick for some reason.
Just the edges, you said?
Yes, near the edges of the ring of forest. Yeah, there's a ring of healthy trees at the heart of the forest near that structure I mentioned. And let me see here. Oh yes, and so you also see that it's generating a fluctuating bioenergetic field. And preliminary sensor readings also show that there's a breathable atmosphere inside, but there appears to be no intelligent life form support. With your science roll success, on top of all that information, you know that the bioelectric field is the strongest at the heart of the forested dome. It's a highly charged field floods that area with negative ions, and it's kind of scrambling any sensors. Now, you still have 2 momentum that you can use to get, if you want to buy more information, or you can bank those momentum.
Commander, I can push it if you want.
Okay, so 1 additional momentum gives you that the dome is utilizing some sort of biological computing, and its organic technology possesses a remarkable regenerative systems. The vessel itself seems to be repairing itself currently. So something disabled it, and whatever automatic repair systems have now kicked in. But for the time being, it is just adrift in space.
Buy the profits.
Is like a living ship?
It does seem to be that way. Everything that you can tell from it, it's made up of organic components and materials.
Okay. Captain, sensors are telling me that this thing is, you said about 1,000 meters. Easy?
It's 10 kilometers in diameter.
10 kilometers. It's over 10 kilometers in diameter, and it's almost over 1,000 years old. And nothing here is indicating that it's from our galaxy. However, it's
Oh.
Yep. All right, we gotta quickly fix this overlay. Sorry, everybody. We'll be right back. If everyone can turn off Zoom. I didn't write down the order. Do you guys remember the order we came back in? So let's see. You're
Sarah
first, Sierra.
Sierra,
Sean.
On.
Sean.
Okay, Sierra, come on back. Sean.
I
And then
waited turn.
Then it was.
Eric,
People.
then Kayla, then Raven.
Yep, Eric, Kayla, Raven. Thank you. Sorry, everyone, for the technical issues. We'll get them sorted out. All right. You were saying, Commander, that it's repairing itself?
It looks like it's an organic vessel, sir. Of some sort.
Ensign, bring us in closer, but not too close. Just fly casual.
It seems to have taken some damage and it's repairing itself at the moment.
Thoughts on the damage? Chief, look like weapon damage? Something else?
Captain, I'm not really sure. I've never seen anything like this. The generating biofield stems from the core itself, some sort of biological computing. It's messing with the sensors, and not even a planet works this way, Captain. Imagine the center of a puddle. In the center of that puddle is life itself. Do I recognize that it looks like maybe weapons damage, or does it just look like the decay of a tree?
It doesn't look like the decay of a tree, but go ahead and make me a insight and science, and you can be assisted by the ship's computers in science.
Okay, here's mine. Here's in science.
Boom. All right, so that's a mega success. There's difficulty 0. So you actually are, based on the information you got with the trajectory coming from outside the Milky Way galaxy, you actually remember something from back in the Academy where Captain James T. Kirk had an account of the USS Enterprise's encounter with the galactic barrier on stardate 1312.9. And this encounter that James T. Kirk had with the galactic barrier, looking at it, the damage seems consistent with what they encountered.
Captain, I've run it through the computers banks, and let me try something else really quick if memory serves from my Academy days. All right. I think I know what it is, Captain.
Go ahead.
The original Enterprise in Captain James T. Kirk's personal logs, or captain's logs, stardate 1213.9. The Enterprise encountered the galactic barrier, and
I think I remember reading about that. Go on.
being that this object came from outside of the Milky Way galaxy, would have had to pass through the barrier. This damage, according to the computer, is consistent with the damage sustained to the Enterprise.
Interesting. And I'm sorry, number one, you said the atmosphere was absolutely breathable. Are we positive about that?
All the scans came back indicating that it is so, sir, though. I would recommend having something with us when we beam down, just in case. I know you're going to go on to, sir.
You know me well already, number one. All right. Well.
Chief, if you want to attempt to determine anything else about the vessel, you may do so if you attempt an insight engineering, also assisted by the computers and engineering. Difficulty 1.
1 die for the ship.
1 die for the ship, 2 for you.
All right, here's the ship. And you said insight and engineering.
And computers and engineering.
Oops, I don't think I did. Oh, I did do that for the ship.
Okay. So you generate 2 momentum with that. So you looking over some information you know about in the scans of the ship, you also determined that the solar sails appear to be the vessel's only method of propulsion. The sensors can detect no faster than light capabilities at all, and that the alien vessel uses some sort of biodigester to convert plant matter into fuel. And if you want to spend any momentum, there's more information to be obtained.
How much momentum should we have right now?
You have 5.
3.
Oh,
No, you have
wow.
Let's spend 1 more, please.
5. Okay. So 4. All right. So with that, you've also looking at it. You've determined just as other plants and organisms use the sunlight to synthesize food, the dome itself appears to be designed for photosynthesis. It converts light energy into chemical energy as an additional fuel source. But yeah, it's for an engineer, this is particularly strange to see on such a scale.
I will run my hands through my hair, sit back from my station for a minute. Like, fascinating. Captain, this is almost beyond comprehension, and yet it isn't. Those solar sails are the only means of propulsion. There's no faster-than-light drive. It seems to have some sort of biodigestion that it feeds on, but also that entire dome itself is capable of photosynthesis. It's completely dependent on sunlight and radiation.
Nearly perpetual motion machine. As long as plants thrive, the ship moves.
Would be putting off the oxygen. That's why you'll have a breathable atmosphere. Still, that bioenergy is not even close to what we have on Earth.
The ship itself, does it look like there's anything that could be a weapon on it?
Nothing that
Organic.
Yeah, nothing that the sensors can even recognize as a weapon, or even try to cross-reference against with some plants' natural types of defenses. There's nothing that appears to be a weapon on board.
What about insects?
Insects. Go ahead and make an insight and science roll. You could also be assisted by the computers and science of the ship.
Can you roll that, engineer?
Shit.
All right. And yeah, even cross-referencing against insects, there's nothing that can be determined to be weapon-like. And that'll generate you a momentum. You're at 5 momentum.
Right. That's just a scan I did myself while I was over there. I haven't mentioned it, so.
Mm-hmm.
Counselor, are you sure you're not getting any readings?
Let me attempt again. Am I still too far away?
So now that you're getting closer, it's weird because you've never felt this sensation before, but the bioelectric field that the ship gives off, it's basically it's almost like if you could see what you normally see as like dots of light indicating sentience in like a field of stars. It's just like this blank void in front of you. Well, it's almost like white noise in front of you because there's just too much interference.
Like the whole thing is just...
It's like lighting up like a Christmas tree. But it doesn't appear to be... You're getting like organic living things, but you're not really picking up any sentience at this range.
I still am not picking up any sentient readings. However, whatever matter is on there, it's almost overwhelming.
Well, I think we all know what comes next.
We return home.
Let's gear up to beam over.
All right. Sorry, were you gonna say something? Talk.
Oh, Captain, as much as I've typically after our last mission prefer to stay in the engine room, this is frankly too fascinating to pass up. Permission to be on the away team, sir.
Granted, Talk, just watch what you breathe,
Yes, sir, Captain.
All right. Number 1, I'll meet you in Transporter Room 1. Ensign, Counselor, if you don't mind.
Right. Does anyone want to take any special equipment?
I'm taking the equivalent of a rifle.
All right.
Nice.
So the special equipment, you guys definitely can take it, but there is a thing in this game that we didn't really talk about last time called opportunity cost. So you can take these special equipments, but it will be at the cost of some of your momentum. Or you can give me threat. But I already have 10 threat. Do you really want to give me more?
I thought like this.
Can we threaten you personally?
Yes, you can threaten me personally, but I don't know how well that will go. You can definitely take a Type 3 phaser rifle, though, if you'd like.
If it costs anything, then no.
Okay. We got 5
question,
momentum. Yes, sir.
Is there better sensor equipment beyond, my tricorder?
Yeah, let me take a quick look for you.
Or like an adapter?
Yeah. I had this page opened, and then it disappeared, of course.
I'll just have my Type 2 phaser and I'll grab a tricorder and switch it open just to make sure it's working.
Yep.
I'll scan number 1. You're still stone cold, Commander.
Captain Scott, best jokes.
Sorry, everything's cutting out for me. What did you say?
Nothing. I scanned you with the tricorder and I was like, you're still stone cold, Commander.
Stone
Shouldn't
Cold
surprise you, sir.
Commander. Oh my God.
Yeah, everyone can take a hand phaser and a tricorder at no real cost. I know there's a better scan. Yeah, you have a better scanner. We'll just say for ease.
I'll spend the momentum to get basically a better science equipment than just your average tricorder.
Okay, and we'll say that's just going to reduce your difficulty on any science or like sensor related tasks.
Thank you, G.
Mm-hmm. And eventually I'll actually have a list of equipment ready for you guys. Okay. So, you guys all make your way down to the transporter room. And you're ready to beam down. Are you just going to have the transporter chief run the task for you?
Yeah. I'll just, once everyone's on, all right. Energize.
All right. So the transporter chief there, which it's a Denobulan, says, Captain, this bioelectric field that the planet, or the ship seems to be generating is going to make this a little difficult. I'm going to have to put you down near the outside ring of the forest. Anything else would be far too difficult.
How far out, Chief?
Basically on the edge of the forest.
All right, looks like we've got a hike ahead of us. Go ahead.
Chief, quickly, work
Yes.
on the biofilters. Try to filter out anything that isn't us through this resonance.
All right, I'll make sure that's ready.
Quick escape.
Okay. So,
Apologies, Captain.
so quickly for that.
I'll take note that he interrupted the captain.
There'll be an infraction later.
Do you want to talk about it, Captain?
Could you give me an assist roll with computers and... I'm sorry, sensors and engineering from the ship?
Yes, I can.
All right, cool. So that is just enough. All right. Actually, no, it's not. All right, you guys begin to hear the transporter.
We all
sequence.
become melted mutants on the transporter pad.
The transporter sequence begins to spool up and then spool back down, and as it's taking longer than you would anticipate, but then reality comes back into vision, and I'm taking a threat, and you guys are on board you're on board. You materialize in a clearing in a vast forest. Suddenly, you're hit with a chorus of insect noises surrounding you. It's strange because the ship's sensors and your tricorders, just from a quick flipping them out, register no animal life. Taller than Earth's redwood forests, the ancient trees appear sickly, with many already dead. The golden leaves are the size of an open hand, litter the ground, and the tree's smooth silver blue bark is peeling, and holes from wood-boring pests pockmark the trunks, oozing a sticky yellow sap. Large flowering plants with tall purple stalks grow at the base of the trees. A seed pod the size of an adult human sprouts from each plant, but the flowers and pods around the trees have withered. So just so you guys know, this is something we didn't really cover in our first mission. So locations will have things called traits. Characters can have traits. So the dome, while you're on the dome, there's a trait called electronic interference. This is coming from that bioelectric field we talked about.
That should be fine.
This increases the difficulty of all tasks that use tricorders or other electronic equipment by 2. Your advanced scanning equipment that you brought along, Talk, will mitigate that to a degree, but some of them will still be a little more difficult.
Gotcha.
All right, let's see here. Talk, can you take a reading of that strange ooze coming out of that tree?
Taste it.
Number 1, we didn't pick up any insects on sensors. What do you make of it?
Sorry, to be honest, I really don't know. And I'll take another look around, and what else do I tell him?
And yeah, even visually, there's no, besides the physical marks in the trees, I mean, there's no signs of insects beyond the chorus of insect noises and the marks on the tree, but the tricorders are registering no animal life whatsoever.
So the tricorders aren't showing anything, and I can't see anything visually other than some damage that's been showing there. Whatever they are, sir, I hope they're not big.
Kind of look around.
She, and Nora looks decidedly uncomfortable.
Okay.
Very uncomfortable.
Okay. Talk, if you want to make an analysis of the trees, this is going to be reason and science or reason and medicine. it would normally be a difficulty 2, but because you have the advanced equipment, it's going to be difficulty 1.
Okay, complication range 1, task roll 2. Got it.
Boom. Change yourself a momentum there that you can use for an immediate spend on more information if you like.
Hold on, gotta hone in, Captain. Advanced equipment, this bioelectric field is going to make everything difficult.
You need to filter out the lower band. Yep, you got it.
All right. So with a analysis of the trees, you determine that the sick trees are losing their sap at an alarming rate. But if wood-boring pests are responsible, as it appears, there's no presence of them. No physical presence, because they're not present. You can get more information if you want to burn any of that momentum.
I'll keep it as it is for now. I grew up in Sausalito, outside of San Francisco, near Redwoods.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a jump.
All right.
Strange, Captain. Clearly, these are wood-boring insects. That's sap, some sort of sick sap that it's pulling out. No sign of the insects, nor should this be killing the trees, but they had an issue with this with the redwoods in California. Every place is an ecosystem. There's something that eats the trees, something that eats that, it keeps it in a balance. Something could have caused it to go out of balance. So now we see neither the insects and the trees are sick, maybe from the absence or the presence of something.
Well, in such a highly tuned system where biomatter fuels the engine, if you will, any sort of upset could quickly bring this whole thing to a halt. I mean, 10 kilometers diameter, that's big, but it's not that big, right? It's very susceptible to that type of damage. Ensign, would you mind taking a look at that seed pod for me? Don't get too close. Something about it creeps me out. And Counselor, while she's doing that, you're still detecting nothing? No sentient life whatsoever? No insect life? Nothing? We can hear them, certainly. Is it some sort of deception? Where's it coming from?
So first, Ensign Sarala, you are trying to get a scan on the seed pods that seem to be at the base of these large trees, and the tricorder cannot penetrate them at all. You can you see them, the purple stalks of the flowering plants. They start actually swaying back and forth, and they have almost like a felt-like tip. And they almost seem to strike on a pattern on the petals, and each produces a musical note reminiscent of a hammered dulcimer. Counselor, as this music begins, this strange music of the forest begins, you immediately begin to sense that there are 2 types of life forms on this dome. One of them is dreaming, as far as you can tell, in some sort of hibernation, and the other is sick and desperate. But you can't really pinpoint them because there's just, like I kind of described before, it's surrounding you. But you're getting these 2 competing feelings of sick and desperate, and another one in a kind of state of hibernation.
I'm finally sensing something. It's a little difficult to pinpoint exactly where it's coming from, but one feeling that I sense is desperation, illness, perhaps, and the other one, I believe it's almost dreaming, like a constant state of dreaming. I just don't know any more than that.
Very interesting. Could the trees all be one single entity? I mean, we're seeing the trees appear to be sick, something like the aspen trees of Earth that grow in colonies, interconnected root systems.
Honestly, Captain, based on what I saw before and the almost static-like nature of it, I'd say that's a very good idea.
And as you're standing there discussing some potential theories, you see one of these larger seed pods, the larger seed pods around these trees. You see some of them slowly open, and inside, you see humanoid bodies that are made of a connection of interlocking leaves and thick gnarled vines. The tops of what you assume is their heads taper into twisting flowering branches, and each flower has its own little purple stalks similar to the flowering plants. There's no mouth that you can see, no eyes. It's just a strange humanoid amalgamation of vines and leaves. They immediately ignore you and stand as if they're just waiting for instructions.
They all stand at once?
Yeah, all the pods around you have begun opening.
And how many were there?
There's one for every tree.
One for every tree.
Well, we're outnumbered, sir.
Indeed we are. Logan to Avalon, do you read?
Go ahead, Captain.
Be ready for emergency transport, on my word.
Aye, sir.
Do I sense?
Go ahead.
Do
Go
I
ahead.
sense any hostility, or is it all the same? Like, do I sense anything now that they've all opened?
No, you don't sense any hostility, and you actually don't sense anything from these humanoids. Like, they don't appear to be sentient, so to speak.
That could be even worse.
The sound and this music of the forest actually changes, and you see a group of them hurry towards the center of the dome, and you see you hear the music change a little bit again, and the remaining gardeners that you can see in this immediate area, they proceed towards a small shed-looking structure that's also made of vine leaves. And it's almost like a strange symphony is occurring before you, as even the flowers on the heads of one of the gardeners seems to play its own little accompanying music of the forest. And you see as the gardeners head towards this little shed, these interlocking vines just kind of retract, and you see them go inside, and they actually are using what look like stone tools as they begin to just tend to the forest around you.
Some sort of automaton meant to tend this forest in perpetuity?
But yeah, they've completely ignored you so far. It's basically like you're not there.
All right, I'll step forward a little bit and just... If you can understand me, my name is Captain Atticus Logan, from a starship not unlike this dome, from a group called the Federation. We mean you no harm. We're here to help if we can.
They, for now, are just continuing to work. If anyone wants to attempt to make any scans of them or anything, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd make a scan with my equipment.
All right, give me a reason science or medicine. Difficulty 1. All right.
So nothing. Did that cancel out?
So you get a complication, and as you're scanning it, it's going to be basically. I'm just going to need you to make another task before you attempt to use the equipment again. You're scanning with the equipment, and you kind of feel like you're looking at the readout, and it begins to flicker a little bit. You surmise that somehow the bioelectric field is interfering, but you do learn, you get a reading back, that the humanoids are a botanical life form. So it's unlike anything any of you have encountered. And since Sarala, you're actually still near one of these seed pods scanning them, and as they open, you immediately get a reading on one of them. So, Ensign, if you could give me a reason and science, difficulty 2, you can see if you can determine any information about them. And Chief, to fix your advanced equipment, go ahead and give me an engineering and I'll say control and engineering. Yeah, you easily fix it. Ensign Sarala, as you're scanning this, unfortunately, you can't quite cut through the bioelectrical interference.
Captain, Commander, these beings, humanoids, are an absolutely botanical life form. Completely.
How close is one for me?
I mean, they're varying. The closest one is probably 10, 15 feet from you. It looks like it's trying to clear away some of the dying bark from the base of one of the trees nearby.
Can I walk over and touch it gently?
Yeah. You go over and touch it, and it feels much like you would expect it to feel. Like this. It's a strange sensation because it's almost like it has like leafy scales, I guess you could almost describe it like. But immediately underneath that, you feel vines moving as if it was like the musculature of this creature. But it doesn't react to your touch.
Okay. They seem benign, sir.
Well, let's keep our phasers holstered for now. I'd like to get a look at what's in that shed. Actually, we already saw. They just grabbed stone tools, right?
Yep.
To do the tending. All right. I'll take that back. He wouldn't have said that then. Well, I think it's time to head to the center of this forest. Find out what's going on here.
Okay. As you guys continue on, you still hear this. It's this constant music now. It never really stops. But it's been maintaining that sound of like just the same sound you heard when they began tending the forest.
Is it discordant or is it harmonious? Like, is it?
No, it's very harmonious. It's actually quite pleasant. You could.
Actually, yeah, I have a thought real quick.
Yes.
Damari. That tricorder you brought. You're muted. Can you record this and analyze it, run it through a spectrograph, see if there's anything interesting about this melody, any frequencies, carrier tones, anything? It seems to have been sending instructions, not unlike RF or something.
Brilliant idea, Captain. We'll run it over all known patterns and frequencies that we have. I mean, it certainly follows a pattern without a doubt, but let me see what I can do. I would like to attempt to do what I said I was going to.
Okay. Make me an insight and science task with a difficulty of 1. If anyone has a focus in botany or xenolinguistics, they could assist.
Oh, you don't have xenolinguistics. You have xenogastronics. Yeah. Question though.
Yes.
I don't have a focus, but my parents were one of my parents was a musician. I imagine that's not enough to help, but at least he'll be
I'll let you
thinking
assist.
through it. Man, you're the best. Well, I've already forgot what the roll was.
Well, for you, it's gonna be insight and science, 1 die.
Okay.
All right, so you've generated a momentum off that. All right. So, the immediate thing that is shocking to you, the tricorder does not actually register any sound waves. And according to the readings, there is no music.
Captain.
Um,
Oh, go on. Sorry.
no, that's it. Go ahead.
Captain, I'll look up somewhat seriously. Tricorder isn't picking up any sound waves whatsoever. There is essentially no music.
Psychic resonance? Is this in our heads?
It's the sound of life, sir.
It is beautiful, number one. Logan to Avalon.
Go ahead, sir.
Avalon, are you receiving any music over my comm badge?
Negative, sir.
Thank you, Avalon. I'll probably have to explain that later.
If you'd like to spend momentum to obtain information, you may determine more information.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I got a question.
Yes, please.
I wasn't gonna reveal this yet because of backstory and all that crap, but Nora
All
has
that
an
good stuff.
and flowers and stuff like that.
Sorry, say that one more time.
Nora has an interest in botany and flowers and stuff like that. She hasn't studied it. It's just a personal interest. Would that help in any way?
Absolutely. Go ahead and make me an insight and science task roll yourself.
Okay.
All right. Well, I just spent a momentum too, so we'll ask questions. So Nora, feel free, ask questions if you want, based on your interest.
So, I'm going to say in combination. So, Nora, you're actually, I'm going to say, looking over the shoulder of Tak, also looking at the readings. And you quickly realize that the tricorder is detecting. It's a series of strange chemical compounds in the air that look similar to compounds you've seen at other flowers, terrestrial flowers, like sunflowers, not terrestrial, sunflowers on, oh man, can't remember the name of the homeworld of the Trills. I think it's Trill. Yes, Trillestrial. But yeah, strange chemical compounds.
And I'll point to it. I say, Chief, these compounds, they're found with some terrestrial life on Trill. I recognize those.
Compounds.
Can you get anything from that? If it's, we can compare this to something from Starfleet. I'm sure it's in the computers.
Counselor, what about beings we've encountered that speak solely through pheromones? Do these resemble pheromones in any way? Here, take a look at the readout.
I'll look at the readout. I don't know much about pheromones beyond my own personal experience, Captain.
Fair enough.
So I will say, if the three of you or all of you would like to make a deeper analysis of these compounds, I'll say whoever wants to lead it can go ahead and make a reason and science, and then I'll actually let two people assist on this, and I'll say definitely, yeah, whoever wants to lead it can lead it, but it's going to be reason and science with a difficulty of 3.
I'll wait for the command.
All right, I've got a pretty good background in science, so Commander,
I'm not gonna help.
Roger that. Who else has high science? Just out of character, so I could remember. All right. Chief, Commander, let's interface these tricorders, see if we can process these pheromones. Or see if they're pheromones, these chemical compounds. And I'll lead it.
Okay.
I'm gonna spend 1 momentum to add a die to my pool.
Okay.
I'm getting nothing, Captain. I'm gonna have to focus the tricorders with all this interference.
Oh yeah, well, actually your special tricorder will reduce the difficulty by 1, so it'll be difficulty 2.
Alright, it's up to you, Kayla.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I thought I had already rolled.
Oh!
I thought that was your roll right there.
Oh, it was. I'm sorry. Oh, it was. Yeah, you had a 1. All right, we got 2 successes.
Okay, there you go. So, with the interfacing of the tricorders and everything, the music you're hearing is actually a chemical reaction inside your brain caused by the chemical compounds the flowers release when their petals are struck. So the petals are being struck and it's releasing, this invisible to the eye chemical compound. And you guys have been inhaling it. And you're now hearing this what sounds like music to you. And you're also now sure, looking at this, that the botanical life forms also feel these, are also affected by these, and it's clearly how they somehow relay messages via these compounds. But you just interpret them as audio tones when you breathe them in and absorb the compounds through your mucous membranes.
I'll just look up from the tricorder. Well, that's a first.
Captain, you told me not to breathe anything strange coming down here.
Sounds like you've disobeyed a direct order, Chief. We'll talk about that later.
I'll
Ensign,
take note of that.
Ensign, do you think there's any way we could respond somehow? Could we generate an interface, perhaps replicate some compounds? Can we figure out how to talk back?
I could produce a lot of saliva, sir. Maybe hawk a loogie.
I'm sure that would help, Ensign.
Captain, this might sound strange, but if it is indeed pheromones, what if we all produced more pheromones?
I'm not sure what you're suggesting, Counselor.
Just in a purely academic way, if we were to maybe, one of us were to become aroused, we could at least test with these contained variables and see if it elicited any response.
I'm gonna start just scanning.
Counselor, I feel like that might be against several protocols. Let's save that as a plan B. Chief, can you transmit our findings from that tricorder to the Avalon and see if one of the science labs can replicate those pheromones?
Yeah, right away, Captain. Acknowledged.
You can easily communications don't seem to be interfered by the field whatsoever, so you're easily able to transfer that data to the Avalon, and one of the science labs will start pulling it apart.
Data sent over, Captain. The science lab is going to do what they can to decode.
The science lab also tells you, they can tell you at this point, because of just the way this works, the way the universal translator is designed, it will not be helpful, as the universal translator interprets the brainwaves of humanoids.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not anything like a brainwave. There are no neurons or synapses or brains as you understand them that they have.
They wouldn't be able to translate it through us, would they? If we were used like a beacon or something?
Potentially. I will say, with that thought, actually, that you have there, Commander, you keep thinking about the seed pod, that these creatures come from. And they may in some way be directly tied to their communication interface.
Almost like their speakers only emitting pheromones.
Yeah, in some ways, yes.
Okay.
But it would require further. Ensign Sarala attempted to scan the seed pod earlier, but was unfortunately not very successful.
Okay, I'm gonna go over and take a very good look at it and scan it with my tricorder as well. But with my background, I want to take a very close physical look at it as well.
Okay.
Not just trust what the tricorder is telling me, but my own eyes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, all right. Let me just check something real quick. Sorry.
Is there any evidence of just like using perception to look around? Is there any evidence of like the lack of a food source or something like that? Like if there's no water around here or nutrients, maybe that's part of the problem.
What you mean with the dying trees?
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in just a second. Sorry.
Good thinking.
Sorry, I'm just trying to catch a certain piece of information in here.
Thank you, Tabletop Loot. Appreciate that. Easy. I'm executive decision in giving us 2 momentum for both the subscription earlier and Tabletop Loot's generous donation.
Okay.
And my 1 bit.
And Raven's 1 bit. That's really what pushed us over the top.
Okay.
I'm executive decision to give us 2 more for no reason.
Because
seems-
so.
I mean, that seems fair.
That does seem fair.
I have you at 6 momentum. I don't know what you have us at.
Yeah, no, I had it at 6 too.
Sure.
Yeah, totally, man. Are you guys also, while all this has been happening, have you been kind of staying near the beam-in point, or have you been traveling?
I think we've been traveling slowly but surely. Once we departed from the shed, yeah, I mean, we would have stopped a lot to run that analysis and all, but making our way downtown.
Okay. All right. So, Nora, go ahead, and this is going to be reason and science. It's still difficulty 2, but go ahead and give me that for just analyzing the seed pods closer with your physical examination and with the tricorder.
Can I take a momentum?
Yeah, you can burn a momentum for an extra die, so make that with 3. And you immediately generate 1 back. All right. So
Nice roll.
you begin analyzing these seed pods. And it becomes immediately clear to you that the seed pods act as both a birthing and a stasis chamber for these life forms that you've seen walking around. And also that the seed pods are some sort of bioelectric interface that requires an organic component to function.
Say that again? I'm sorry.
They are a bioelectric interface that requires an organic component to function.
Oh, cool.
Kind of like
All right.
And
just from looking at it a little bit closer, I mean, a person could climb inside one of these things.
the ones that are opening, are they in areas that are damaged, or do they look like they're somewhat alive?
So I will say the ones where the gardeners actually came out from, they're from ones that are not tied to any of the dead trees. You've only seen the gardeners appear from ones where there are still living trees.
Okay. Captain, those gardeners they grow in these, and I'm pretty sure that they're like a stasis chamber as well. I forgot the second part after the stasis chamber.
Birthing and stasis chamber, and the seed pods are a bioelectric interface requiring an organic component to function.
And, Captain, these look like they're a bioelectric interface. And
Are you suggesting, number one, that
I'm a little bit shocked, sir.
one of us could crawl inside that and perhaps interface?
If someone wants to, sir, I volunteer, but if someone's a little more...
Commander, Captain.
I think talk shit, sir. He has the background for engineering. This is engineering of some sort, just at a biological scale.
Talk loves
Talk to the look on Talk's face.
Captain, I'll do it, but it is worth mentioning that though it is an organic interface, we are not the same organic life form. That is completely botanical. This could be communicating on a level that's incomprehensible. However, I'm a Starfleet officer, and I do have a background in engineering, and I will do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sir, if he doesn't, I can do so because of my back, where I'm from Trill. I may be able to interface with this stuff easier than you would. But I think
That's a good
with
point.
Talk's background, it may be a better idea.
I would definitely
First of all, both of you volunteering says a lot about your character. Second of all, I don't want any of my officers climbing into a strange pod until we know just a little bit more about it. I agree this could be a way for us to communicate, but I'm not willing to risk... Well, frankly, those things are made of wood. I don't know where those bits of wood might try to find purchase on your bodies, and I wouldn't want to have to beam you to the med bay having a stick up your ass, essentially. What were you going to say, Easy?
Yeah. Anyways, as you guys have also been traveling, you've come to another stretch of heavily damaged forest. Like, this is the worst part you've seen. There are several trees that have actually fallen here, making passage a bit more difficult. Because, I mean, they're like redwood, so you're kind of having to wind around and navigate. And there are no gardeners here either, at all.
Are there pods, though? Because I think we would definitely... we would chill near a pod.
There are more. The pods here they appear to be dead or wilted.
All right, we'll hang back at a pod that looks alive, because I think we're making the decision now to climb inside.
Counselor,
Yes.
do you think if I can climb into the pod, we can maintain a mental link?
Possibly.
There's no telling that if I get in there, that I'll be able to communicate otherwise. But if the counselor can keep a mental link with me, she should be able to get through my thoughts. We've had a link before, multiple times, so we know the frequency.
If this is a sentient being, this is our chance at first contact, Chief. Are you prepared for that?
I'd like to think so, sir. No, but yes. What everybody thinks before first contact.
I understand. Before we do, Ensign, would you take a look at that pod? Look around for any proboscises, sharp interfaces, anything that might make the Chief's time in there uncomfortable.
Particularly around waist level.
Yeah, so if I just kind of do a manual probe and
Yep.
take a look in there,
Crazy.
just have a light, shine a light in there. Really see.
There's nothing that you can immediately see. There kind of are near, I'm going to say neck height. There are a series of, looks like kind of little holes. But there's nothing that appears to be, that would cause any issues I will say you have no idea what will happen if you go inside this seed pod. Don't know if it's gonna mulch you up and eat you, and then like grow a new botanical life form.
I understand that, GM. Those have all run through my head as both an officer and a player, but I am a Starfleet officer.
All right.
Commander, quick question.
Yes.
You had the most thorough scans. This is an honest question. Do you think I need to be naked?
I think if the thing wants to get through your clothing, it's gonna get through your clothing, but I'm gonna review the scans. What do I tell him?
Upon reviewing the scans, you don't think it needs to be naked.
I'm debating whether I tell him that or not.
Chief, I don't know much, but I know most interfacing of a biological variety does require nudity.
Knowledge, sir.
Captain, looking at this, I don't think he actually needs to.
Well, there you have it, Chief.
I'm probably standing.
Does it help if my pheromone levels are rising?
I have no idea.
Can I roll on that? Just kidding.
I don't think I have a pheromone roll. Are you jumping in the seed pod? Or do you guys want to travel more? Because there's seed pods everywhere.
I'll get in it. I'll for a moment, like, before I get in the pod, to seek out new life.
I'll crouch down beside him as he's getting in and be like, Chief, thank you again for volunteering for this. Should you turn into a plant, I'll make sure we put you near the sunlight. Good luck in there.
Are we sure about this? This is just the first room.
I'm not at all sure of this, Ensign. But
Start screaming.
I'm qualified.
What was that, Kayla?
Butt naked.
I'm not butt naked. She said I didn't have to be.
All right. Good luck, Chief.
Okay, so you step inside this seed pod, and you all watch as Tok steps inside, and the seed pod immediately closes up behind him. Tok, it's not completely dark in here. It's like kind of, you can see the light passing through the shell of the seed pod. It's kind of like a green purple color in here, and it's kind of weird. You're just sitting in here, and then suddenly you feel a thin, needle-like but painless thing enter the back of your neck, right at the base of your head, and it connects inside of you. You can feel this. You can feel it connecting to your nervous system. It's completely painless, but it's the weirdest sensation you've definitely ever felt. Are you accepting it? Or are you...
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, as you feel this connection, and for a brief moment, you see flashes of countless generations of history flash in your mind, and then just it's darkness. All of you outside don't hear anything. Like the pod isn't moving. And a few moments pass, maybe a minute to 2 minutes pass, Are you guys just all sitting here?
After 1 minute, I was going to try to detect his thoughts.
Okay. You can definitely still feel talk in there, but he has in his mind right now. It's just like an overwhelming sensation is passing through him right now, but he is still there, so to speak.
Easy. Can I ask a clarifying question on behalf of Sean? I know we don't know this. Our characters don't. When you say generations, do you mean generations of plant life? Does he see the whatever the life form is that's passing through these generations?
It's unclear. He sees just plants. He just sees trees existing. He even sees 2 humanoids, but the flashes by so quickly it doesn't mean anything to him. It's like it's going by way too fast right now for him, a normal person's brain to process.
And this is several generations of trees which live hundreds of years.
We're talking thousands of years.
Yeah,
beyond thousands of years of history is flashing before you, and most of it looks the same because it comes from a tree.
Yeah.
But you'd see stuff growing and dying and growing in its place.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
The only thing that stands out to you is the 2 humanoids. You don't really get any details from them, but they're the only humanoids you ever see.
Can I reach out with my mind? Can I try to navigate myself closer to the humanoids? Can I will it?
Sure. Let's see here. I'm going to say this is going to be control and... No, this is going to be fitness and command.
They aren't my best, but I'm going to do it.
And I'm going to say this is going to be difficulty like 3.
Yeah, I didn't make it.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, no. You're almost in kind of a state of shock just from the sheer volume of information passing through like your brain right now.
Counselor, is he still in there?
He is in there, and I still have a connection with him. I sense that he might be a little overwhelmed, but in a situation such as possible first contact, I think any of us would be overwhelmed.
All right, I trust him. Let me know if that changes or if he seems panicked or afraid.
Absolutely, Captain.
Okay. While all this is happening, Ensign Sarala, because this is going to take a little bit of time, you notice nearby, by one of these huge logs, knocked on the ground, there's a half-meter tall, what looks like a seedling of one of these plants. That's just been left there. The seedling still seems to be alive, but without any aid, it's probably gonna die.
It's just loose, like it's not connected to anything. It's dropped like an acorn or something.
It looks like it was planted at one point, but then from one of the bigger trees falling, it disrupted it and kind of knocked it out of the ground.
Is there any way I can discern to help it?
I mean, you could always attempt to replant it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'd like to do that, sure. Maybe then they'll see we're helping. Just dig a hole, like with my hands.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. It takes you a little bit. You have to clear out quite a bit because, I mean, it is, half meters, like what, 2 feet, 1.5 feet tall. But you motion it around, you get it back in there, and you gently kind of pack the soil back in. And you individually hear, I guess you wouldn't know if it's you guys all still hear this music, but Sorala, for you, the music changes briefly, and it has a even calmer tone when you do that.
I think that would really encourage me. So, rather than just put it in the dirt, is there anything else I can find nearby to help it? Some water or.
I will say there's one of these nearby sheds I kind of described earlier that is open. And if you want to go take a look in there, there might be something you can help the seedling additional in there.
Sure, I'd love to root around in there. Maybe there's something.
Okay, as you look around in here, you see there's all various relatively simple tools made of stone, almost all completely out of stone. They don't seem to really, like, there's no wooden halves or anything like that. They're very primitive. But you do see that in the shed there's kind of it's almost a fountain, and there are some like kind of jug-like things in here that you could fill with water and give the plant some water.
Yeah, I'll fill a jug with water. Is there anything that looks nutrient based in here either? Something like pellets, or trying to think of like plant food kind of.
Yeah. Nothing that you immediately see, but you think back to some of the descriptions of the way this place works. You're pretty sure that the plants receive all their nutrients from this the whole system within the geodesic dome.
All right. Yeah, I would like just to take that container and fill it and go water the seedling I just planted.
Okay. And as you do that, you see, you even see the seedling was a little kind of not wilted, but didn't seem as straight before. And as you give it some water, you see it kind of gain back some of its strength. And the music you were hearing before continues to grow more calming and kind of pleasant. But yeah, you think you've helped this little seedling as much as you can. And as you're finishing that up, you look back to where everyone else is at the seed pod, and you see the seed pod begin to move, and it begins to open. And inside, you all see Tak, looking exactly like he was. He begins to speak, but not with his own voice. And the voice says, "I am the oldest. The first in the I am the oldest in the cycle from the first. What you see is all that remains of a once vast and beautiful forest, the last of our kind. You invade our ark, murder us. Demons from the void, parasites all. Even now your servants continue to harvest our spirit. We feel them burrowing ever deeper for our life force. There is a word for this in your barbarian tongue. Genocide." And the speaking stops. Tak, you still feel like you've got somebody riding along with you, but you can still speak, and yeah.
Oldest, we didn't bring those invasive creatures. We want to help you. We understand that they've made you sick. And I think we might be able to find a way to assist you. We truly mean you no harm.
I'll, just inside my head, if I can do that, I'll just say, trust him.
Mm-hmm.
Leads us, like, search my mind. My history.
Okay. You're all looking at Tak, and you kind of see his eyes go into the back of his head for a moment. And Tak, you you now see yourself. You're seeing your own memory, flashes of your own past, good times, your youth. You're hit with smells and all kinds of things from your past.
Ooh, that might be a rough past.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a rough feeling.
I mean, fleeing, Bajor, my parents, setting up, and then certainly Wolf 359.
Yep. Plant's getting a good picture of you guys.
You're gonna need a counseling session after today.
I definitely will.
Get those pheromones elevated. Counseling sesh.
Captain, as you started this conversation here, I'm gonna need you to make a. You now actually, you're close. You're even closer to the center of the forest now, and you begin to see. Hold on, sorry. You actually see ahead of you, right at the edge of the deforested area, you see that there are several of those, the gardeners.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a grassy clearing with a spiral carved standing stone that seems to mark some sort of mound that's roughly 2 meters high and 3 meters in diameter. And there seems to be, at one point on the front of it, you see a bed of white vines that are weaved together. Yeah, but so you can attempt to do this right now. This persuasion.
Okay. So persuasion is a focus of mine. So what do I roll?
This is going to be difficulty 5, by the way.
Okay, fantastic. That should be fine.
It's going to be contested versus the forest.
Okay, I'm going to spend a point of determination here, since this is first contact. I believe that ties to my values of loyal to the Federation.
Totally.
Trying to put our best foot forward. So I'll spend a point of determination. It's a focus of mine.
I mean, I'm going to say your discipline here is definitely going to be command. But what type of... what are you putting forward?
Presence, absolutely. He's trying to play off formality.
Okay. All right.
So presence, command. I'm spending a point of determination, so that adds an auto 1, right? An auto critical success.
So you already have 2.
And I'm gonna spend 3 momentum to add 2 dice.
Okay.
So I'm rolling 4 dice.
Cool.
Here we go. Hold on to your butts. So 3 from the roll. Oh wait, I actually rolled one too few dice. All right. 4 successes from the roll, and then
with the crit from your determination, that gives you 5. And let me do my roll real quick.
that gives me 6, right? Because don't crits add 2, or is that wrong?
Yeah, crit adds 2, so you're at 6. So I'm gonna spend 3 threat. No, I'm gonna spend 3 threat as well to give myself more dice.
Don't do it.
I'm going to do it. All right. Oh, well, that's not great for you. Looking at the tree real quick. Definitely doesn't have any tree focuses here. The voice from Talk begins again. Every time this happens, Talk, it's a little jarring. If you help us, we will allow you to roam our forest. We have been haunted by this invader, these parasites from the void, for a long time. I urge you to come to the center of the forest and speak with us more. This interface will now accompany you and observe.
Very well. We'll help you as we can. Please don't damage this interface. He's very valuable to us.
And all of you now, you can look, you see that Talk, on the back of his head, there is a tiny sprout of one of those purple flowering plants.
Got a little
Nice.
sprout on your head.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little sprout? Little sprout?
Talk, you can understand me?
I'll unroll my eyes. I think my face has been going through weird smiles at times, anger, and then I think I also might have a couple of tears.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge, Captain, I'm here.
All right. Well, let's make our way to the center.
All right. And as I described before, ahead of you, you see this mound.
Hey, real quick, on our way, I'd like to ask the counselor a question.
Yes.
Counselor, earlier you said you detected 2 consciousnesses. One was sleeping. One was sick, afraid, desperate. Do you have any idea which one we're speaking to now through Talk? The desperate one.
You are fairly certain that you were speaking to the one that was dreaming.
Captain, the one that we're speaking to right now was the one that was dreaming.
Thank you, counselor.
It's always been 2, Captain. 2. For thousands of years. I'll just struggle and be like, I've seen thousands of years of history.
All right. I'll kind of help. Like, I'll put an arm on Talk as we go. But yeah, we'll head towards the center.
Yeah, I'll take the arm. I'll grab whoever's hand is closest too.
Okay.
Who wants to hold my hand?
Who's going to hold his hand?
The ensign does. You guys had a sweet connection last game / dressing down.
/ dressing down.
I'll take the hand and hold it.
All right. Anson, do you accept your hand being taken?
Oh, yeah, I'll stick my hand out.
All right. Yes, Commander Nora.
No, go ahead.
No, please, I insist.
Before we walk much further, I was gonna say Nora's gonna look at the ensign, smile, and say, "Good job with the pod." And this will be like probably more kindness in her face than is normal. Like, there's a look of real approval from her.
All right.
Thank you, Commander.
Okay, as I mentioned before, ahead of you, you see this 2-meter high, 3-meter diameter mound with a spiral carving stone at the top of it. Are you guys just going to pass by this, or you just want to keep heading towards the center?
Oh, this is not the center. This is just something else.
This is something else on the way.
You know what? I'll just turn to Talk. Say, can you tell us what this is? A monument? A ritual site?
Are you asking Talk, or are you attempting to ask?
I'm attempting to ask the via the interface. What was that?
The sleeper.
The sleeper, yeah.
Nothing.
I still here, but not speaking for now, Captain.
Understand. Ensign, Counselor, would you take a look at that and catch up with us?
Yes, Captain.
But I'm holding his hand.
Oh, you're holding his hand. Yeah, all right. Then I would have said Commander.
Guiding us.
Yeah, I'll say Commander and Counselor. Take a look at that. Don't spend too long. Don't.
You definitely, I would say, does anyone have, I guess, let me check it. Let me look at some people's foci. Does anybody have, like, an archaeological or any focus like that?
Nope.
I mean,
But
doesn't
anthropology.
Anthropology would
Anthropology and archaeology are in the same discipline.
Anthropology would totally apply here. As in, you totally recognize this as like a primitive burial mound structure. It's a little strange to see a burial mound in a forest with no humanoids except for these strange, almost automaton-like organic things walking around. And the stone at the top, as you just kind of get a little bit closer to it, you see that the engravings appear to represent two spiral galaxies. It might have some mythological significance.
When the others walk towards it, does the hand I'm holding react at all? Is it like, would be a bad thing to let people near it? Would it be disrespectful?
Yeah, hold on. Let me see here.
My body is yours, Jam.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a reaction. Tok's hand squeezes a little tighter. It seems to be slightly resistant.
Captain, we might want to not stick around. I think it's a burial mound. We might want to give some respect rather than inspect it.
Good thinking, Ensign. Counselor, Commander, maybe we shouldn't.
Very well, sir.
All right.
I would turn to her and be like, "He has those running laps today?" Just jokingly.
You received an order, Counselor.
Best first officer ever.
So as you guys move along, Tok, you actually begin to kind of take the lead, and he's seems to be leading you to the heart of the forest and the ruins there. You see these gardeners. They've actually begun to gather around you, but they're keeping their distance, a short yet menacing distance. And as you reach the heart of the geodesic dome, where the bioelectric field is the strongest, upon entering the area, the airfield's charged with static almost. The forest here is completely healthy. There's no visible evidence of the wood-boring pests that I described earlier. And yes, that's where you are right now. Would anyone like to do anything?
And I'm sorry, there was nothing. We haven't reached the structure yet, right?
No. You are. Hold on.
We're just on the outskirts of the inner circle.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. No signs of the wood-boring creatures, but the air feels different.
Almost like there's a charge.
Commander, you take a reading. Use Tok's tricorder. Anything out of place here? This almost seems like a
Reason
last defense.
Go ahead and give me a reason science task, difficulty 1, and you can definitely apply. I'm going to say your interest. I'll let you call that a focus.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm going to not just with the scan, but again walk around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look at things, touch things, just generally be very invested in it and try to be gentle about where I'm stepping and everything like that too.
And you guys have 3 momentum right now. So if you want to use any of that, you can. It will be difficulty 1. Remember, you can always get more information if you spend momentum.
Oh yeah, I'll use 1.
All right, so give yourself an extra die. All right, you still managed to succeed with 1 success. And you see that on the scanner that a highly charged bioelectric field has flooded the area with negative ions, and as a result, ozone has built up in the air. These negative ions are not harmful, but you do also pick up intermittent life sign readings as blips or almost sensor ghosts for brief moments.
Are they only on the edge of where we are, or is it, or does it go in farther?
They're kind of focused. They're kind of in this perimeter area.
Okay.
You see these brief blips, and then they disappear.
Sir, this area's been charged with negative ions, and there's quite the buildup of ozone. Sir, this is a shield. I believe this is a shield because I'm getting. I'll show him the tricorder, just like the read I'm getting.
Mm-hmm.
These blips are. I think this is defending against those.
I think you're right. They kept saying creatures from the void. They said invaders from the void. I originally took that to mean the void of space. Counselor Ensign, thoughts? We see here clearly a defensive position. Something encroaching from all around. I initially thought some sort of wood-boring creature, insect, but we saw no signs of insects. Could they be interdimensional, phasing somehow? Thoughts?
I will say also all this time you've still been hearing that chorus of insects. But it has died down a little bit once you got really close to this field.
So we hear it but have not seen an insect, correct? We have not seen a single one.
Correct.
I think I would squeeze Damari's hand and ask, Dreamer, do you know what's happened to the insect?
No response.
Again, not talking now, but you might be able to adjust the sensors to check for phasing. You'll have to connect all of them together to overcome the field strength, especially here. And it might tell you if you can find phasing creatures, although going to the center is the most protected place. Speaking to the two, they might be able to explain also.
I'll assist in setting up the sensors that way using Tox as the command one.
Hold on, Commander. Before you do that, I've got a simpler test. Logan to Avalon.
Go ahead, sir.
Avalon, are you detecting any insect sounds coming through my comm badge?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Avalon. All right, then they're real. They're not in our heads. Proceed, Commander.
No, frankly, sir, I'm thinking they're below us anyways in the roots. That's if you want to kill a plant, you kill the roots. It's simple gardening, but
You're right, but we did see boreholes though, didn't we? Where sap was leaking.
Mm-hmm.
How big were they?
Trying to think of how big they would be based on.
Are they arm sized?
No. They're probably about the size of.
What size battery could I put in it? A D? A C? Double A?
They're a little bit bigger than a standard D20.
Okay.
Damn, I'm so gonna shove my arm down one.
Captain, it also said demon and specifically genocide. So I think the commanders might follow. It's not just like an ecosystem where they're eating. Although, maybe if I was a tree, I would feel the same way about being cut down.
You get Captain. You get a beep on your communicator.
Go ahead.
Captain, this is kind of strange, but the dome has begun moving again. It seems to be. It's on the move again.
Original course, or is it on a new course?
I would guess it based on its trajectory. Let me just. It appears to be on the same course.
Maintain distance. Set a course to pursue.
I will. And the crew member is like, it's still traveling at sublight, so we'll be able to easily keep track with it.
Understood. Logan out. All right, Commander, proceed. If you think these insects are below us... actually, can we get any indication of where the sound is coming from? Being extremely familiar with cicadas here in Virginia. Are they in the trees? It sounds like they're coming from above us?
It's kind of all around you, and
Okay.
as you guys are beginning to prepare to kind of... sorry. As you guys are beginning... Sorry. Yes?
Never mind. It might come in handy after you describe it.
Okay.
I have that constantly watching when I attempt a task to detect danger or hidden enemies. Reduce difficulty by 1.
Okay.
Nice.
Handy.
It may. It depends if you determine these to be enemies.
Oh.
As you're preparing to make this scan, you see several of the gardener creatures. They veer away, and you begin to see them just inside of that bioelectric field you detected. You see them begin stomping at the ground just inside the field, and you hear a chorus of clicking rising from the forest floor.
I'm running right over to it.
And you see that the gardeners are squashing insects, but they are only visible. You see some that cross the edge of the bioelectrical field, and they appear, go back across, they disappear. These creatures they're fairly large insects. They're about 7 centimeters long.
That's a big bug.
It's an arachnid from Starship Troopers. No, it's 7 centimeters long, 4-armed, multiple legs. It has an arched exoskeleton with 2 antennae that swoop back almost to the very end of their bodies, and pairs of sharp teeth in circular mouths that protract and retract below compound crescent-shaped eyes.
I run back, and I go back to the sensors, and I'm waving at the captain because.
Okay. And you're going to try to get a scan of these insects as you can see them. Is that your...
I'm staying over where
I think now that we can see them, I think we were going to try to scan to find them. We've clearly now found them.
And as you see these gardeners stomping and they're destroying these insects, the last one that you can see gets stomped, and the gardener picks up its kind of stump-like leg, and you hear from your universal translator, you hear words that just say, "Help me." And that's where we're going to end today.
Oh, God. Whew. That was a fun one.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, Easy. Also, that was gross. Just some gross stuff.
All right.
Man. All right. Well, let's go launch a raid, everybody. Man, we will see you in 2 weeks, I think. The 24th?
I thought we were going to resume our
Bi-weekly? Yeah, that's bi-weekly. That's what I mean. That'll be 14 days, right? The 24th, normal schedule?
I guess I thought we were going to...
Oh, okay. I could do this. Is the 17th then supposed to be the next one? Next Friday?
Yeah, that's what I thought we were doing.
I can do that. We can take that conversation offline and let's figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys. Hey, thanks everyone who hung out and checked it out. Oops, hold on. I just lost my raid, so give me a second here.
No.
I know. I'm the worst. I'm actually the worst. There we go. We're going to pay it forward here. There you go. Raid is firing up. Y'all, that was a good one. I really enjoyed that. That felt like a Trek episode, man. Some weird stuff going on.
My interest to help plants. I forgot.
All right. Yeah, that was cool. That came in handy. That's great. All right. See you guys. Thanks again.
Eh.